Picture this. You're walking into a dimly lit space. The air is absolutely thick with the heavy scent of jasmine incense, and you just hear this rhythmic, hypnotic tap, tap, tap of a steel needle echoing off the walls. Well, welcome to this explainer, where we're diving headfirst into the ancient magic of Thailand's sacred tattoos. For thousands of years, people have sought out these spiritual markings, truly believing they hold real power. But if you're looking into this practice today, you're going to hit a massive, pivotal question right out of the gate. Who exactly is qualified to create them? Specifically, what is the difference between a monk and an Ajarn? Today, we're going to thoroughly explore that critical difference, and we'll unpack exactly why your choice between these two traditional practitioners fundamentally changes the entire experience.
So here's our agenda for today's explainer. We'll start with the magic of Sak Yant, move into the monk versus Ajarn explained, touch on avoiding commercial tattoo shops, break down the authentic spiritual ritual, discuss choosing your sacred design, and finally look at the rules of conduct. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the magic of Sak Yant, and why it's more than just ink. Now, right off the bat, we need to understand that a Sak Yant isn't just art. According to our sources, this is an ancient Southeast Asian tradition designed to give the wearer real, tangible spiritual benefits. We're essentially talking about a living talisman permanently etched into your skin. People actually seek out these specific geometric patterns to get strength during tough times, maybe luck in their business, profound personal charisma, or even intense protection from physical harm. But here's the kicker. The meaning isn't just in the visual pattern. The true power is embedded in the sacred ritual used to activate it. If you strip away the Buddhist prayers, the sacred geometry, the magical script, and those holy blessings, well, you don't really have a Sak Yant anymore. You just have a drawing. Moving on to section 2, monk versus Ajarn explained. This is the core choice. And that brings us to the absolute centerpiece of our explainer today. Who exactly are these practitioners? If this magic is real, who actually wields it? In Thailand, you essentially have two highly respected traditional paths to get an authentic Sak Yant. You can go to a monk, or you can go to an Ajarn. Understanding the distinction between these two masters is absolutely vital, because this choice alone is going to dictate the entire energy, the intimacy, and the trajectory of your whole experience. Before we compare them head-to-head though, let's just ground ourselves in the language for a second. The word sak is a Thai word that literally translates to tap or to tattoo. And this references the deeply traditional way it's applied. Instead of some modern buzzing tattoo machine, the practitioner uses a long, weighted bamboo stick or a heavy steel rod, physically driving the ink into the skin point by point. Then you have yant, which comes from the Sanskrit root yantra. That means an instrument or a sacred diagram used to harness spiritual energy. So, putting it together, a Sak Yant is literally the physical, rhythmic tapping of a magical diagram into the skin, effectively turning the body into a vessel for spiritual power. Pretty incredible, right? Okay, so let's look at those two distinct paths. Starting with the monk. A monk operates entirely within a traditional Buddhist temple setting. When you go this route, you're stepping into a bustling, living religious community. It's often kind of chaotic, very ancient, and honestly beautiful. You might hear gongs ringing, other monks chanting in the background, locals making their daily merits. Because this is a religious service, getting a Sak Yant from a monk relies on a flexible donation-based offering. It is incredibly authentic, for sure. But because temples can get absolutely swamped with hundreds of devotees a day, your interaction with the monk might be super quick. You probably won't get much one-on-one time, and a lot of times, the monk will just choose the design they feel you need rather than sitting down to consult with you. Then on the flip side, you have the Ajarn. An Ajarn is a highly trained spiritual master. Often they're actually a former monk who left the temple to practice magic full-time. They operate in a private, dedicated space called a Samnak. The Samnak is usually very quiet, intimate, and just covered in magical artifacts and shrines. Because they're independent, Ajarns usually have a guided or fixed fee for their time. But what you get in return for that fee is a vastly different experience. You get dedicated personal mentorship. You actually sit down, you discuss your life, your struggles, what you're intending to get out of this, and the Ajarn guides you in choosing a design tailored exactly to your spiritual needs. Let's head into section 3, avoiding commercial tattoo shops, and what we call the authenticity gap. When we compare these authentic options to what you typically find on a tourist street, a massive authenticity gap opens up. Look, it is super common for travelers to be intimidated by the idea of navigating a foreign temple or trying to track down a private samnak, so they just opt for the convenience of a commercial tattoo shop instead. But when you actually break down the facts, the reality is stark. Both the monk and the Ajarn provide the crucial foundational elements, the spiritual ritual and the blessing. Their environments might be different, but their authenticity is identical. A commercial tattoo shop, however, completely lacks the spiritual ritual and that final blessing. The purpose of a shop is purely visual. Going to a commercial parlor just because it's easier completely bypasses the profound cultural and magical exchange that makes this tradition what it actually is.
And the issue goes way deeper than just missing out on a blessing. It takes decades of intense monastic study for monks and Ajarns to learn magical languages like Kom, Pali, or Lana. These are complex, ancient holy scripts. Commercial tattoo shop artists typically can't read a single word of them. Because of this, shop artists are almost always literally just tracing JPEGs they found on Google. The shocking reality is that they frequently tattoo totally meaningless, misspelled gibberish onto their clients instead of the authentic, powerful kata. And the kata is the actual magical text that gives the tattoo its power. No way around it. All right, section 4, the authentic spiritual ritual, activating the magic. So, assuming you've made the leap and chosen to visit an authentic monk at a temple or a dedicated Ajarn at a Samnak, what does that real experience actually look like? Well, an authentic Sak Yant is a cohesive story of transformation, and it always requires 3 distinct elements. First up, an opening offering has to be made. This is usually a little tray with things like orchids, incense, tobacco, and your monetary donation. You present it to show deep respect to the master and the entire lineage of teachers that came before them. Second, the practitioner is going to apply personalized magical text. Because they can actually read the ancient script, an authentic monk or Ajarn will literally adjust the text around your specific design to reflect exactly what your intentions are. And third, the whole experience culminates in a magical blessing. The holy man will place gold leaf on the ink, chant ancient mantras, and then actually blow their breath onto your skin to physically activate and charge the design's power. It's a really powerful moment. Now, while we're on the topic of the ritual, it is absolutely essential that we clear up a massive misconception. You do not have to compromise your physical health to have an authentic spiritual experience. Spiritual meaning doesn't mean you have to accept preventable medical risks. Today, a lot of modern, authentic Ajarns actually pride themselves on hybridizing that ancient magic with strict contemporary medical safety. So whether you go to a monk or an Ajarn, you can, and absolutely should, always ensure they're using medical-grade safety standards. We're talking high-quality, fresh ink, and completely sterile single-use needles. Tradition and hygiene, they are not mutually exclusive. Let's slide into section 5, choosing your sacred design, the 3 master yants. So how does your personal spiritual intention actually impact the physical design that gets tapped into your skin? Well, the vast majority of people getting their first Sak Yant end up choosing one of 3 options. These are known as the master yants, mainly because their blessings are just incredibly broad and universally beneficial. First, you've got the Taew, or the 5 lines. This design is ancient, dating back over 700 years to the Lana kingdom. Each of the 5 lines is its own separate spell, offering comprehensive good fortune, protecting your home, and granting personal charm. Then there's the Yord, known as the 9 peaks. This acts as a foundational yant protecting you against negative energy and physical harm. And finally, you have the Paed Tidt, which pulls in 8 powerful mantras from 8 geographic directions to offer universal protection. This one is heavily favored by nomads and travelers. To really wrap your head around the depth of these designs, let's just look at the Yord, where the number 9 is hugely significant. This number represents the 9 peaks of the mythical Mount Meru, which is basically the absolute center of the universe in Hindu and Buddhist cosmology. But the number also represents 9 specific Buddhists. As the monk or Ajarn is applying the tattoo, they are actively infusing the ink with spells from these 9 Buddhists, bestowing special powers upon you. The most sought after of these is called Metta Ma Hahaniyam. It's a profound blessing of loving kindness. Just imagine walking through the world, carrying the psychological and spiritual weight of a spell designed purely to make people treat you with deep compassion and popularity. Which brings us to our final section, section 6, the rules of conduct, carrying the blessed. So the ink dries, you step out of the temple or the Samnak, and you're done, right? Actually, scratch that. Your journey is really just beginning. To keep the magic of the Sak Yant active, wearers have to abide by something called core hum. Imagine getting a tattoo that literally requires you to permanently change your daily behavior. These are specific rules of abstention and conduct given directly to you by your monk or Ajarn.
Now, the exact rules might vary slightly depending on the master, but they usually involve vows like abstaining from lying, refusing to steal, or promising to never disrespect your parents. The overarching purpose here is universal. They act as a permanent physical behavioral contract to lead a good, moral, and spiritual life. And here's the catch. If you purposefully break the rules, the magic simply leaks out and fades away. So whether you decide to immerse yourself in the bustling, communal traditions of a monk at a temple, or you opt for the guided, highly personalized mentorship of an Ajarn in a quiet Samnak, I want you to remember this thought from our sources. Traditional Sak Yant is not simply a service, it is a cultural and spiritual exchange. Are you merely looking for a cool, convenient, aesthetic souvenir from a commercial shop? Or are you ready to engage in a profound cultural exchange, honor the core hum, and walk through the world actively carrying a thousands of years old blessing? Because that is the true magic of the Sak Yant.